To be honest, there wasn't all that much to this newest chapter of Black Clover. We're still very much setting things up so far, and although there are some minor details that further build the narrative of this current arc, I believe the most important and highlighted aspect is that absolute and overwhelming feeling of love and satisfaction during the later half of this chapter. Hello everyone, I'm Ozzy, and this is my Black Clover 218 chapter analysis. As I mentioned in my introduction, this is very much a feel-good chapter, but there are still some smaller details to go over, so before I go into the greater chunk, let's take a dive into those topics. The first, and I believe possibly most important detail about this chapter is the fact that the newspapers are circulating while the trial is still taking place. I honestly had a double take initially, thinking that they had skipped ahead to days later, where Asta was already imprisoned. So why is this important? Well, we have to stop and think for a second. The newspaper would only be able to print this story and these pictures if they already knew what was going to happen. This shows us that the Magic Parliament had this entire setup calculated to a degree we hadn't even considered possible. Regardless of whether Asta comes out of this confrontation unscathed, the Magic Parliament has already begun to sow the seeds of doubt within the kingdom. Not only the Magic Parliament or his squad mates, but now the entire Clover Kingdom knows about Asta and his demon. The next topic that I want to discuss is the matter of the criminals. The former Eye of the Midnight Sun members are in fact imprisoned and assisting with the reconstruction of the kingdom. The first thing that I want to point out is that I'm surprised at how many Purple Orca members are a part of this gang now, with the rest being rogue mages. It's crazy how much of a bad light this Night Squad is in, and that's not even mentioning that Zora's dad, who was a former member of this squad, was killed by a squad mate, and to add even more fuel to the fire, their current captain Kaiser was possessed by an elf, so he's likely being held in the same place Marie was for the trial. But with that all said, I believe that there's a significance in the fact that these people are all being held together. What happens after they finish with reconstruction? I doubt Tabata will simply have them rot in jail. My opinion, considering the treatment William was given, is that Julius will be utilizing them in some way as their own unit now that we know that they are under Magic Knight custody. The last aspect that I want to cover is the Golden Dawn reaction and perspective. Claus and Mimosa are well aware of Damnatio and his policies. They understand the fear that accompanies interacting with the Magic Parliament, which further establishes the notion that interfering with this trial is something nobles want to avoid by any means possible. So finally we come to the biggest part of this chapter. As I've said before, there really isn't all that much to this chapter, but at the same time it accomplishes its goal incredibly well. To set the scene, Asta has gravely messed up by going into his black form. He succeeded in saving Marie, but at the same time he has severed all lines of communication. All they see is evil. Despite his control over the ability, all they see is a demon. His actions have further condemned him in their eyes, and they won't listen. They threaten his village, and they've stripped him of his hard-earned position. But right as the overwhelming sense of dread begins to set in, boom. The voices of his comrades slowly begin to fade in. The reassurance that was escaping comes rushing back. His family is here. Those that see his value and have accepted him for who he is will not be silenced, even at the risk of their own status and comfort. The emotions this chapter garners are top-notch, and although not much is accomplished, it helps to grab my attention and keep me invested in this trial. So many things are at stake. The tension is so high, but the worst of the worst thrive in games where they have to put it all on the line. Emotions aside, there are a few observations I have regarding this scene. Yami notes that everyone was given misinformation regarding the trial. Whether this was due to Julius or Damnatio remains to be seen, but I believe Yami is implying this was Damnatio's doing, which further emphasizes how much of a sham this trial is, but we all knew that. The more important point is that it answers our question for why Asta and Sakurai weren't accompanied by at least their captain. My second observation is one that some may have missed, but the Black Bulls traveled there in their castle. The importance of this is that I feel it adds steam to those theorizing that Asta is going to flee the country. They didn't need to use the castle to get there, nor did they need to use it to break down the wall. Unless Tabata is implying that this is simply how Henry will be walking around from now on, I believe that they realize that starting this fight with the Magic Parliament means that they will be arrested as soon as they leave. By bringing the Black Bull's castle, they have metaphorically packed their bags and are ready to leave. To be honest, I really don't know what will come of this turn of events. There's still room for Julius or the other captains to show up, but at the same time, I don't know if that would be enough. On the other side of the prediction spectrum, I believe that if they do leave, they will head towards the Diamond Nation. The Heart Nation would probably be the better choice, but we know that there are allies within the Diamond Kingdom that could use their aid. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Can Julius still save them? Is the Heart Kingdom the safer bet? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to like the video if you enjoy my Black Clover content, and subscribe if you want to see more in the future. Until next chapter, Seal Seal.